You see, guys, the ANC and their communication strategy, it is a mess. It is a mess. And what this tells us is that the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, has no control over his cadres. He has no control over his cadres because Ramaphosa can go out and say one thing, and before you even know it, a minister is somewhere contradicting the president live on television, and there's no consequences for that. There's no consequences for that. I don't know if the cadres inside the ANC are trying to prove a point to the president of the party that you are not in control. The ANC is in control. You are not in control. Because, guys, I want you to listen to what Snuki Zikalala is basically saying. After Cyril Ramaphosa has said one thing, this is what Snuki Zikalala from the ANC's Veterans League is basically saying.
ANC's Snuki Zikalala has strongly opposed President Cyril Ramaphosa's call for caution in managing tensions with Washington. Just days after Ramaphosa's warning, Zikalala dismissed efforts to mend relations with what he called the implacable enemy as naive.
Just imagine, the president of the country, you remember not so long ago, the president of the country was out talking about mending the relationships with the United States of America, talking about sending the delegation to the United States of America, talking about signing a deal with Donald Trump. But there goes Snuki Zikalala. Snuki Zikalala says, no, we don't need to mend relationships with the United States. We don't need to mend relationships with the United States. It doesn't matter if this is a message that the president is trying to communicate to the people. No, we don't care about that. We don't want to mend the relationship with the United States of America. This is what is happening inside the ANC. This is what is happening inside the ANC. And I guess this is the reason why I said the other day that we cannot expect the ANC to fix itself at the expense of the country. The ANC always talks about the renewal. Fikile Mbalula always talks about the renewal of the ANC. But we cannot expect the ANC to renew itself at the expense of the country. This is the reason why I always say that we need to unplug the ANC from the power. We need to remove them surgically from the power so that they can fix themselves while we, the people of this country, actually focus on this country. But this whole idea of the ANC fixing itself at the expense of the country, it cannot work. It cannot work. Because right now, just listen to the messaging that is coming out of the ANC. The presidency says that, no, we need to work with the United States. We need to mend relationships with the United States. But Snuki Zikalala from the same organization says that, no, we don't need to mend relationships with the United States. It is naive to expect us to mend relationships with the United States. And this is the mess that we are dealing with
Washington. Just days after Ramaphosa's warning, Zikalala dismissed efforts to mend relations with what he called the implacable enemy as naive. Zikalala now joins us to have this chat. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
But then again, 2027 is coming, so I think people like Snuki Zikalala, they are trying to position themselves for the new president that is going to lead the ANC, because in 2027, Ramaphosa is done. Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC is done. So maybe this is the position that the ANC has basically taken inside, that we are not going to mend relationships with the United States. So this guy that is trying to mend a relationship with the United States, he's leaving in 2 years. So we cannot allow him to actually set the stage. So we are going to oppose him. We are not going to oppose him. Because this is Snuki Zikalala. This is someone who used to agree with almost everything that Cyril Ramaphosa would say. But right now, out of the blue, says, no. I disagree with him. I think it actually has to do with 2027, because 2027, Ramaphosa is done. Is done as the president of the ANC. Is done. And Snuki Zikalala and the other people inside the ANC, they are ready to lick the boots of whoever is going to lead the ANC. And I think they already have an idea who is going to be the president of the ANC in 2027. And I think that person is anti-United States of America. This is the reason why you hear the likes of Snuki Zikalala saying all of these things. Because after all, this is how the comrades actually operate. This is how the comrades operate. If you are in power, these people are going to lick your boots. They are going to tie your shoelaces. But if they know that you are going, they are going to start to turn on you. So I guess we will hear from Fikile Mbalula. Fikile Mbalula, his utterances going forward will tell us what is actually happening inside the ANC.
That statement where we were commemorating Human Rights Day, the expression that was given there, that implacable enemy, it would be naive to try and mend relations with an implacable enemy. Where does that stem from?
Well, it stems from the hostility that the Trump administration has shown towards South Africa, and especially after AfriForum and Solidarity went to see them and saying that there's genocide in the country, we're expropriating their land, and white Afrikaners have been persecuted, and without even investigating, especially with their embassy here in Pretoria, to find out is it true what AfriForum has said. And so it's really unacceptable that America, as one of the superpowers, accept what AfriForum and Solidarity have said at face value. It's really unacceptable. It shows that, of course, they had an agenda, of course, of trying their level best to safeguard the so-called rights of the rights of white people, which they have in the country. We are a constitutional democracy, as you know, that about a few days ago, a survey that was done said 82% of South Africans believe in constitutional democracy, believe in the rule of law, and compared to Europe, which was 81%. It shows that our people in South Africa, they will never allow any dictatorship in the country because they are protected by the Constitution, they are protected by the Bill of Rights. And so we couldn't understand exactly how could America, being America, believe what the Afrikaners are saying. And of course, in as far as we're concerned, the groups of political parties which have decided to take AfriForum and Solidarity to court because this is treason. And so
it is not treason. It is not treason. Just because they said something that you don't like, it doesn't mean that it is treason. It doesn't mean that it is treason. It is not treason. And the ANC, guys, I don't want to get fired up again speaking about the ANC and treason. Because if we have to look at what the ANC have done to this country, these are the last people to talk about treason. If you have to look at the actions of the ANC in the past 30 years, these are the last people to talk about treason. Now, AfriForum has had a conversation with the Trump administration, and it is treason. But the ANC is stealing the money from the poor. It is not treason. The ANC is stealing the money that is supposed to build the water treatment system, and people are dying because of cholera. It is not treason. The ANC is stealing the money that is supposed to build the toilets because the children are dying in pit toilets. It is not treason. The ANC is stealing the money. It is not treason. All of these things that these people have done for the past 30 years, it is not treason. But AfriForum having a conversation with the Trump administration, it is treason. I mean, come on, guys. I don't want to get fired up about the ANC. Because if we have to sit here and actually have a conversation about what these people have done for the past 30 years, I think this is going to be the longest video on YouTube. I think it will have to be the longest video on YouTube because of these of the things that these people have actually done. So the audacity of this person sitting there and talking about treason when he's representing the ANC, it is a joke. It is a joke. The ANC are the last people to talk about treason. They are absolutely the last people to talk about treason. They are the last people. So spare us the nonsense talking about AfriForum having a conversation with the Trump administration. It is a treason. When you guys have done the absolute worst, when you guys have done the absolute worst and you are continuing to do the worst, so you are the last people to talk about treason. The last people to talk about treason.
Let's see what that outcome. But if it was any other place in Africa, they would have been arrested and charged immediately. But we're not that kind of a country. Our constitution does not allow that. And we as African National Congress believe in constitutionalism and the rule of law. That
if you had the evidence to charge and arrest them, you would have charged and arrested them. The reason why these people are still free is because you know that what they did, it is not treason. You know what they did is not treason.
is why we're surprised that how can Trump believe that. Because according to, I'll quote again what Comrade President Mbeki said during the first term of Trump consulted with him on most of the things, while consulting with the ANC people when they are not sure of what is happening. But all of a sudden, his attitude has changed. Maybe because he's a much more of a transactional leader than a leader who wants to bring about a peace and solidarity in the world. And so that's what we are saying. But I think our president is correct. Temper's down because we need America, and Americans, ordinary people, they need South Africa. As you know, that in South Africa we've got 600 American companies, and these companies employ 200,000 people. But at the same time, it cannot be punished by saying that they will withdraw the support that they're giving to those companies just because we supported Israel. We have been in this struggle with Israel since 1945 to date. And we some of us who studied in Europe, in socialist countries, in Bulgaria, we're demonstrating every day, conscientizing people that the struggle of the Palestinian people, the struggle of Namibians, the struggle of Zimbabweans, and the struggle of South Africans, they're interlinked. You cannot say that just because.
All right.
You cannot just say because you are free, and you forget about those who are struggling with you. And so it's really unacceptable. It's really unacceptable.
So this particular line in that statement, it is naive to believe that you can rebuild diplomatic relations with an implicable enemy. Implicable enemy, I've looked up the meaning of implicable as well. And according to the definition that I have here, is that it also refers to unable to appease or placate an individual. So in this particular case, is the Veterans League saying that it is impossible to do that, and therefore it would be naive to try and mend relations with the United States?
Yeah, well, what we're saying is that his relationship with individuals within the United States, immediately, I think their attitude must change totally. Their attitude must change towards South Africa. And I think with the involvement of the president, who's very good at negotiating, who's very good at making sure that we bring about unity, and we think that with this involvement, direct involvement, we can reach some consensus, but not at the expense of our values, not at the expense of our principles, not at the expense of our objectives. The president knows that. But
what are the values of the ANCs, guys? Can someone please tell me in the comment sections? What are the values of the ANC? What are the principles of the ANC? Do these people actually have the values? Do they actually have the principles? Can someone please tell me? I'm not playing right now, guys. I'm dead serious. Can someone tell me what are the principles and the values of the ANC? Please tell me in the comment sections.
We as veterans, we have confidence in him that he will be able to strike an amicable compromise with the Americans, because we've done nothing to Americans. But now, if you look at the attitude that Trump has and the attitude that Elon Musk has, it's when he was talking to Elon Musk, I imagine how the Bantustan leaders were treated by Pete W. Botha, like children, do this, don't do, it was unacceptable for you to treat a president of another country like that. And so I hope Trump will come down, and we believe he will, because American people will not allow that to happen. And so we believe, because the Americans, they did support our struggle. They know very well that where we are coming from, come a long way with American people. I think there'll be more pressure on him to come down on his attitude towards South Africa. And of course, now you have 100 members of parliament who in Europe, and who said that who signed a petition saying that Trump must remove the executive order suspending all aid to South Africa. And of course, they are saying that
So now you are trying to force Donald Trump to give you money. You can sign the petition all you want, but that is the taxpayers. That is the money from the taxpayers of the United States. So you cannot force Donald Trump to give you the fund. You cannot force him to give you the fund.
We are being punished because of our our policies, because of our principles, and because of our virtues. We're being punished because of that.
Does this mean...
Stop lying, man. You are not being punished because of that, especially when it has to do with the US aid funding. Stop lying. Stop lying, because Cyril Ramaphosa and his friends, the so-called the Hague group with the president of Bolivia and Colombia and so on, they went to the Foreign Policy magazine and they actually wrote a scathing article towards the United States and Israel. And this actually led to Trump cutting the aid permanently towards South Africa. And this is the reason why Donald Trump cut the aid permanently towards South Africa. It has nothing to do with you guys trying to be punished. Why don't you tell South Africans that our president, the president of this country, met with the president of Colombia, the president of Bolivia, I think, and the so-called chair of the Hague group, and they went to the biggest foreign policy magazine and they wrote a scathing article attacking the United States of America, knowing very well that the United States is providing us with the aid. And after the United States saw that article, they cut the aid permanently. Why don't you tell the people that? Why don't you tell the people that these people, they always distort the truth? And this is the reason why I cannot stand these people. This is the reason why I cannot stand these people, because they are not being honest with the people of this country. They are not being honest with the people of this country. I mean, in this country, how many people know that President Ramaphosa basically attacked Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu on the Foreign Policy magazine? How many people? Can you stop someone on the street and say that, do you know that the president of this country actually wrote a scathing article attacking president of the United States and the president of Israel on the magazine that is called the Foreign Policy magazine? How many people know that? How many people know that? But you are not saying anything. You are making it look like, no, Donald Trump is just angry at South Africa. Donald Trump is just angry at Cyril Ramaphosa. And you are not mentioning the things that Cyril Ramaphosa is doing behind the scenes. You are not mentioning that. I find it it is so strange. It is strange, man.
I mean that the Veterans League is backtracking on that statement. That it is naive to believe that you can rebuild diplomatic relations with an implacable enemy. Are you backtracking on that?
Or not backtracking. At the same time, we are saying that with the president saying that let's.
I mean, guys, Snuki Zikalala is old, man. Like, this guy, on one hand, he says that it is naive for us as a country to actually mend relationships with this enemy. He calls the United States this enemy. But at the same time, he says that no, because we have a capable president, we know that there is some sort of a deal that he can make with the United States of America. He's speaking from both sides of his own mouth. He's speaking from both sides of his own mouth. He himself doesn't understand what he's saying. He doesn't understand what he's saying. I'm 100% convinced that this guy does not understand what he's saying.
Calm down. That's what the instructions of the president says. Let's make sure that we rebuild our relationship with America. We listen to him as our president of the ANC, and we believe that he'll be able to.
So it is essentially backtracking, because
Exactly.
the statement came in after the press briefing from the presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, where he said President urges people to refrain from partaking or engaging in action that may seem inflammatory and worsen the already volatile diplomatic relationship with the U.S. So do you have a change of heart, at least as the Veterans League, on what the approach should be?
Well, we do have a change of heart because the president has pleaded with us. And he's the president of the ANC, and he knows exactly where we are coming from. We are saying that let the president pursue the diplomatic avenue. Let the president make sure that we strike a better relationship with Trump and his administration. But we cannot tolerate the manner in which they dealt with our ambassador. And it was an academic exercise, and they did not even waste time, hardly a day. They just said, pack your things and go. It's unacceptable. We thought that maybe they would have.
So what is it exactly did you want the Trump administration to do about that terrorist-loving ambassador of ours? What is it exactly did you want the Donald Trump administration to do? That guy literally attacked the administration that is in charge of the country. He attacked the president of the country that is hosting him. What is it exactly that the Trump administration was supposed to do after they were attacked by an ambassador of South Africa? What were they supposed to do? If an ambassador in this country comes out and says that Cyril Ramaphosa is basically attacks Cyril Ramaphosa, attacks the ANC, of course the whole country would say that this guy must leave the country. He must leave the country. What is it exactly that the Trump administration was supposed to do? What is it they were supposed to do? Were they supposed to sit there and actually, what is it that Snuki Zikalala wanted the Trump administration to do?
Called the ambassador and said, look, it was uncalled for you to have said this, and say it cannot happen. They should have done that in a much more amicable manner. But there was so much hostility towards South Africa based on what they've learned from the Afrikaners who went to see Trump and his administrators.
All right.
But these people were pissed off because Ramaphosa insulted them on that article of the Foreign Policy magazine. This is the reason why they were so hostile towards that terrorist-loving ambassador of ours. This is the reason why. And Snuki Zikalala, and he's sitting there and acting as if he doesn't know what actually prompted these people to be so hostile towards this ambassador of ours. They were hostile because of that article that he wrote. They were hostile because of that. That article actually made them even more angry. They made that article. It made Americans even more angry. And you wanted these people to resolve the situation the way you guys want it. So Ibrahim Rasool can go to the United States and insult the Trump administration, insult the president of the country that is hosting him, and at the same time the ANC is the one that is supposed to provide solutions on how the United States is supposed to deal with the guy that is insulting their president. Does it even make any sense? Does it even make any sense?
What we are doing is that we as the Veterans League, we want to make sure that we rebuild our relationship with America. We make sure that American people are the ones who will change the mindset of the current administration in America.
All right.
The problem is that you think the American people care about you. The American people, they don't care about you. They just went through the Biden administration. Do you think the American people care about the ANC? The American people, they don't care about the ANC. And this thing that you are trying to play, trying to turn the American people against their president, is not going to work. It is not going to work. When the American people see the ANC, they just see the communists who are nothing but the thieves. This is an image that you have in the United States. So you guys trying to turn the people of the United States against their president, it is not going to work, because even the Americans, when they look at the ANC, they just see the thieves. This is the kind of an image that you guys have actually built for yourselves.
All right, let me quickly ask you on the replacements. So Ibrahim Rasool, the expelled ambassador to the US from South Africa, mentioned some of the criteria that he believes is very important. So there have been a few names that have been bandied about, including that of Tony Leon, the former leader of the Democratic Alliance. And I wonder, from the Veterans League side, what's your take on the names that have been thrown around, and what approach should the president be taking on this one? If you look at some of the names that have been bandied about as well, all of them are actually white males.
Well, the ANC is in government, and number one, the ANC is the leader of the GNU, and so we don't interfere in those things as the Veterans League. But we have got the right to intervene on all issues that affect the dignity and integrity of the organization. And so we leave all that to the president. That is his prerogative. Immediately, if we see that the candidate that has been sent does not suit our values, our principles, and our objectives, and so we'll be able to call on the president. But currently, we are saying that let's leave that up to him. That is prerogative, that is purview. But immediately, if we see that there's something wrong that is happening, and the person who's been sent there won't be able to represent South Africa in the manner in which South Africans want South Africa to be represented. And so we have the right to call the president and say, Comrade President, this person won't be able to build the relationships that we have. We don't believe in color as the African National Congress, as you know. We believe in all South Africans, irrespective of race or color. And so even if it's a white comrade, it's fine. But as long as we know that that comrade will be able to serve South Africans with dignity and integrity.
All right. And then finally, during that press briefing with the presidency spokesperson last week, one of the issues that was raised was around the renaming of a Senton Drive to the Leila Khalid Drive, which has been a proposal that has come from the city of Johannesburg. And the presidency is saying that hold back a bit on that because it may just come across as that you are agitating. This morning, the Star newspaper, leading with a story with the ANC DSG, Nomvula Mokonyane, calling on the party to fast-track the renaming of Senton Drive to Leila Khalid Drive. As the Veterans League, how do you see this particular issue around the renaming of Senton Drive, specifically with this tension between South Africa as well as the United States?
Well, as you know, that is African National Congress during the time of Oliver Tambo. Some of us were in MK. The President Tambo did not support terrorism, did not support a hijacking of planes. And so we are surprised that, of course, Leila Khalid is a revered leader of the Palestinian people. And the majority of the people in Gauteng felt that it should be named under her. But I think that...
Stop lying, guys. Stop lying. It says that majority of the people in Gauteng believe that road should be named under Leila Khalid. No.
It needs to be discussed properly. I wouldn't like to venture into what the DSG was saying, but we'll leave it up to the president and the DSG to discuss it. But we never supported terrorism as the African National Congress. Oliver Tambo would not have allowed that to happen. Even if we, as people involved in MK, we've made it very clear, no terrorism against South Africans, irrespective of whether the white people are enemies. Terrorism is not allowed. And so the Gauteng and ANC decided, but I think it's an issue that will be dealt with by the SGO. We leave it up to Comrade Mbalula and the president. All
right, thank you so much. That's.
And speaking about Nomvula Mokonyane, man, I don't know what is wrong with Nomvula Mokonyane. It seems like Nomvula Mokonyane would do anything to appease the Iranians, even at the expense of this country. It seems like this is what Nomvula Mokonyane is trying to do. Just imagine trying to rename that road, Senton Drive, and change it to Leila Khalid, knowing very well that Leila Khalid was nothing but a terrorist, just like Snuki Zikalala is saying. But Nomvula Mokonyane wants it to be done. She wants it to be done, despite the president saying that, guys, we need to hold on a bit, because it seems like right now we are going to antagonize the people that we are not supposed to antagonize. But Nomvula Mokonyane seems like, no, she wants to appease the Iranians, even at the expense of this country. And it is so shocking, man. It is so shocking. Like every time, I remember even yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were speaking about this thing of the ANC and aligning themselves with the people that actually hate the human rights. I mean, the ANC fought so hard so that the human rights of the people in this country cannot be violated. But at the same time, they are the people that are aligning themselves with the Iranians, and the same Iranians that are hanging the people in the streets. There is a mess in Iran. The women are being treated like subjects in Iran. But if you look at Nomvula Mokonyane, she's just happy to be aligned with the Iran. It is shocking, man. It is shocking. It is shocking. It is shocking. How can you align yourself with Hamas, knowing very well how Hamas actually governs, and you say that, no, we fought for the human rights of the people in this country not to be violated, but at the same time you say that you love Hamas are your brothers, but you know very well what Hamas is doing. You know very well how Hamas is governing. It is shocking, man. It is shocking. Guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.